Okay, let me check. All right, sound is good. All right. Welcome to episode 652 of the Black Brain Trust. This is the Sapio-Males Guide to the Galaxy, Hybristophilia. Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one, man. So interesting that I had to kind of switch the sounds up a little bit just for this one. I need a different carrier signal to kind of to kind of dig through this one. All right, this is sort of like one of those maybe taboo subjects, perhaps. Um, I mean, I guess maybe culturally, taboo, but from a clinical psychology standpoint, it's actually a very real thing. So it's something that's worth looking into and discussing. Now, bear with me here. I was tardy to the party because I made some very strong ginger tea once again, and I spilled some of it as I was getting it together before I was gonna go live. So I spilled the tea. I made a joke, a little jokey joke. um, yeah, sorry. So that's what was going on. I was getting some tea together. This stuff is super strong. So if you hear me sniffing, if I just all of a sudden start coughing or sneezing or a combination of the two, know that this strong ass ginger tea is kicking my ass. So like I said, you're trying to kind of do like a sort of daily maintenance check on your internal organs. Pounding some really strong ginger tea is one way to do it. All right. So what am I talking? What are we talking about here? Hybristophilia. Well, in short, it is viewed as a paraphilia in which sexual arousal, facilitation, and attainment of orgasm are responsive to and contingent upon being with a partner known to have committed a known crime, such as the R word or murder or something along those lines. The term is derived from the Greek word hubrizein, meaning to commit an outrage against someone. Essentially, it's where you get the word hubris from. And philo, meaning having a strong affinity or preference for. In popular culture, this phenomenon is also known as the Bonnie and Clyde syndrome. Right? The quintessential ride or die. Right? So what's this about, man? What's going on here? What's this about? This desire to or is it like basically an attraction to like violence, violent tendencies, right? Violent potentials, right? It's violence, and it's a magnetic draw to it, right? Okay, one observation that I always had, right, that I thought was interesting, was women who were into MMA, for example. Right? I always found that peculiar. I could never, not to depart or digress, but I could never be with a chick who's into MMA. I mean, that's somebody who's literally into watching two dudes beat the shit out of each other, right? And they're drawn to it. They get turned on by it. It's just something. It's oh yeah, kick his ass, right? I love him. He's so badass. You ever listen to chicks talk about their favorite MMA fighters? That is until he gets his ass whooped. right? Now she likes the guy who just whooped his ass. Dude, it's a thing. It's a thing. But for the intelligent thinking brother, one has to really look at this and think critically. Like, what is it about a woman who's drawn to violence? Like, sexually turned on by it. Like, what's that about? Right? That's the first question to ask yourself. Like, right? Because what that may do is that might actually halt. Well, it should like halt any initial attraction that you have, unless you're a bit of a hybristophiliac yourself. Hey, remember, this is the Sapio stuff. It goes both ways. However, in the art, as going to be stated in the article that I'm going to be getting to here, I'm going to read just a few minutes. Hybristophiliacs typically are women. Okay, that's typically women. There's some men too. Like, you got men who are attracted to. They need like chaos and violence and stuff like that, right? There's guys that are like that too, but more so it's women who are on some majority on some level or another hybristophiliac. So, fun, Tatiana. Salute, this channel's under. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate you. I think it's your first time here. I'm not sure if I've seen you here or not, but welcome. What the hell is that? How did that just pop up? Give me a second. Okay, yeah, that was weird. Why did that happen? Okay, so no, I mean, a guy like myself, for all the complaints that you'll hear about, women who are drawn to like, thugs and they want this type of dude. I always understood that to be a sign of hybristophilia. Right? It never I was never discouraged. I was more like intrigued. Right? I was always more intrigued by this notion or this idea of women being drawn to violence. Right? More so than I was like, looking at it as like some sort of barrier in my dating life or something. You know what I mean? It was like as soon as I got any sort of inclination that a woman kind of meant to have tendency to lean towards something like completely dysfunctional like that, dude, it was like, man, she's friend zone and she don't even know it. Right? Like, hey, I'm cute. You gotta stay distance, man. That's weird. Okay. Okay, so yeah, black culture, right? Thug culture. Right? Women being sexually drawn to a dude who walks around with no shirt on, with a gun toted in his drawers. What's that about? What's that about? It's loud. See, all right. I fixed it. I fixed the sound. So I got my headphones back in. So I'm not using my phone. So the sound's off. But thank you for telling me that. I turned it down. Hopefully it's good. Give me a 3 if the sound's good. Yeah, if the sound's cool, man. Give me a 3. I just turned it down. I got the sound back working in the computer here. So like I said, in these headphones, to you it probably sounds louder than it does to me in mine because it sounds kind of low. But all right, cool. 2.5. Crap. Hold on. Right there. How's that? Yeah. I had to get my drum and bass on tonight, man. Like, this is one of those topics where I kind of need like, how do you run your music in StreamYard? Oh, I'll just pull up a different tab, and then I'll hit share screen, and then share audio, and I'll just play music off that tab. But yeah, and then you can just hear it. Still kind of loud. Really? Hold on. There we go. All right. How about now? There we go. All right. All right. Let me get back on track here. Okay. Yeah. We were kind of questioning like what's the whole thing about you know, Doug love, essentially. You know. Well, let's take a look here. Let me pull this up. And you can share screen. Let's do this. Okay. All right, this is from Alcation. So it's a pretty nifty little site that I peruse every so often. You know, covers STEM, humanities, academia, social sciences, and ag, farming, and all that. Like I said, man, pretty cool site. You should check it out. Matter of fact, before I get started, let me look it up. Up real quick. There you go. All right. The psychology of Hybristophilia. There you go. Look at that. Look at that right there. You love it, don't you? You love it. Jeez. What is Hybristophilia? Hybristophiliacs are people who are sexually aroused and attracted to people who have committed cruel, gruesome crimes such as murder and the R word. It occurs more often in women than men. There you go. There are two categories of hybristophiliacs. Passive hybristophilia. Every year, notorious criminals receive romantic and sexual fan mail from admirers. These letter-writing groupies, known as SKGs, not to be confused with SKC, serial killer groupies, have no desire in taking part in criminal activity, yet are attracted to men behind bars. Okay, so we may have a lot of passive hybristophiliacs, right? These women are usually delusional and will try to find excuses for what the criminal did. Sound familiar? They will develop relationships with the criminal and feel that they are special, that even though their lover may have killed numerous people, he would never harm her. They usually feel that they can change their lover, where have we heard that one, and have rescue fantasies. That's an interesting term, rescue fantasies. Hey, let's introduce that into the manosphere. These women have rescue fantasies. Passive hybristophiliacs tend to put themselves in positions to be seduced, manipulated, and lied to by the people they fall for. You guys. Aggressive hybristophilia. Aggressive hybristophiliacs are complete opposites. They are willing to help out their lovers, ride or dies. That's what the aggressive ones are, the ride or dies. There you go. They're willing to help out their lovers with their criminal agenda by luring victims. Oh, snap. Hiding bodies, covering crimes, or even committing crimes. They are attracted to their lovers because of their violent actions and want to receive love, yet are unable to understand that their lovers are psychopaths who are manipulating them. Both passive and aggressive hybristophiliacs tend to end up in abusive or unhealthy relationships. Give me a second. Okay, I took a shower and my hair is like wool, right? So it kind of soaks up water and then kind of doesn't let it go. And then I threw a beanie on. And then I was thinking, like, dude, why is my head bothering the shit out of me. And then it's like I have this beanie on and I got like moist hair under it, so air it out. There you go, feels better. Okay. Uh, okay, without going diverging too far, just from the two, from the passive and the aggressive hybristophilia, can you guys see that this is a good portion of women? And look, this isn't, and this is why I said this one may trigger. It could, I don't know, but this is psychology, right? So I'm not pointing the finger and saying bad. You know, I'm just saying like what goes on with regards to the dating and mating choices, right? That particularly sisters, we're going to speak to this. I mean, you know, when I made the MMA reference, like in my head, actually, I saw like a Latina chick, right? A lot of them are into the MMA shit. So like that's actually what's done on my head, right? So I'm not even trying to make this about a particular group, but in this instance, this example, I'm going to go here. Let's look at sisters, right? I mean, what percentage of them would you say fall in either passive or aggressive hybristophiliacs? Like, be honest. Like, based on what I read, I'm not even finished reading, but I wanted to throw this out here for conversation's sake. What percentage between these two right here, right? What percentage of sisters do you think are hybristophiliacs? Throw it in the chat. I'm just curious. I'll check it out after I finish reading, but I'm curious as to what you guys might think, what the percentage is. I have my thoughts. Causes. There's little known about this paraphilia. Psychologists only have theories about why some people are like this. Let's stop right there for a second. So, even psychologists know very little about this phenomenon. They're perplexed. Right? What sense could it possibly make? Some believe hybristophiliacs are submissive victims, while others believe they are narcissist enablers who are attracted to power. Uh-oh. Indeed, many hybristophiliacs seem to be attracted to men behind bars because their fame and notoriety in the media. Some believe these women are living vicariously through the men and like the thrill and attention. What's that word right there? Atención. Atención, por favor. Psychologists also see this from a biological perspective. Richard Wrangham and Dale Peterson, authors of Demonic Males, describe a study in which male and female orangutan behavior was observed. They noted that females favored the larger and more aggressive males, the ones who showed off their masculinity the most. According to Narcissism 101, women equate forceful and aggressive men who are also charming to an ideal masculinity based on power and roughness. In addition, theorists have said that SKGs may be responding to the overt maleness of the man who has done the most brutal act imaginable. Why are we equating brutality with maleness? Okay. That is, they may be equating this sort of violence with masculine strength and then seeking it as a way to bring such a male into their lives for protection and for producing offspring with a good chance for survival. Thus, they're responding to a biological drive that they may not even be aware of. So much to say. And I'm wondering, should okay. Keep your thought. Sheila Eisenberg wrote Women Who Love Men Who Kill, in which she interviews numerous hybristophiliacs. She says these women are seemingly normal, right? Seemingly, teachers, nurses, and wives. She found that many of these women, however, had a history of abusive and violent relationships. Some of these women knew the exact nature of their relationships. That is that it is morally wrong to be in love with a killer. So they know it's wrong for them. Pin that one. They know this shit is wrong. Okay? Pin it. Accountability, responsibility, we keep saying this, right? Look, they know what they're doing, okay? Pin that. While other women were extremely delusional and had idealized fantasies of their relationships. It should be noted that most of these women do not truly know the men they are in love with. Oh my God. Okay. These women mostly communicate with these men via letters and only meet them for 1 or 2 hours at a time during jail visits. Okay, well, they're talking about the ones the SKGs. In fact, most of these women spend more time fantasizing about how their relationships would be if their killer was not in jail. Eisenberg writes, this phenomenon involved a complicated series of reasons. Oh, it's complicated, they say. The first reason is that if you're in a relationship with a man behind bars for life, what kind of... Okay. The first reason is that if you're in a relationship with a man behind bars for life or a man on death row, then you have a lot of control over the relation. Oh my God. Guys. You have a lot of control over the relationship. You can decide when to make the visit, when to accept the phone call, or if you accept the call, and you are the man's primary link to the outside world. So as you can clearly see, it's a powerful position to be in. Holy shit. What? Okay. Let me get my words right. Okay. So, what the entire fuck literally has you, like, get into a relationship with a person in jail just so you can have some control over somebody? What the entire fuck is wrong with you? Dude. I'm just saying, and you know, I get shit on for being a sapiosexual, right? Oh, you like intelligent women. I don't like this shit. Since most of these women were previously abused, okay, that's unfortunate. Psychologists believe that these women enter these relationships as a way to redo or rewrite their past. This time the man is behind bars and cannot harm the women, while the woman has all the power in the relationship. Aha! However, the killers know what they are getting into. The killers know what they are getting into. Serial killers tend to be very charismatic and intelligent people. Okay, not all of us intelligent and charismatic people are serial killers, though, okay? Let's make sure we understand that. These criminals have an unlimited amount of free time in prison and manipulate these women that admire them. So it's kind of like a two-way street, right? Check out the mindfuck here. So in the previous paragraph, the writer is talking about how in the woman's mind they think they're in control of shit, right? And then like the dude in jail's like, you dummy, you're in a relationship with a guy who's gonna get a lethal injection in the next 2 years. You're an idiot. Wow. I guess it works, right? Somehow this shit works. Oh my God, hold on. Oh my God. These criminals have an unlimited amount of potential with manipulating women that admire them. They carefully study the women and learn about their personalities and weaknesses and prey on them. So, Miss Independent over here thinks that she's running shit, right? And then this dude over here is like, you big dummy. Wow. Treatment. Treatment is generally not sought out unless required to do so by legal action. That means there really is no cure for this. Unless your dumbass ends up literally doing something stupid, which has you catching a charge or a case, right? And then, like, part of your sentencing, you're like, dude, take your ass to therapy. Work on that shit. Wow. Psychotherapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, orgasmic reconditioning, individual expressive supportive psychotherapy. What the fuck is orgasmic reconditioning? That sounds like something that was said on that breakdown Zoe Williams interview. Group therapy, like a 12-step program, but like it's like an AA but for sex addicts. Okay, that's what the orgasmic reconditioning might have something to do with. Hypnosis. Okay, yeah, medications. Okay, let's see, antidepressants. Medical castration. Oh no, this is serious, you guys. Mood stabilizers. Okay, this is getting depressing. Let's see here. Famous examples. Doreen Leoy fell in love with Richard Ramirez. Yeah, what was this called? What was his name? Richard Ramirez, the serial killer guy out here in California. They got married at San Quentin Prison in California. Women still send him fan mail and marriage proposals. Carol Ann Boone married Ted Bundy during his trial. He may have killed from 30 to 100 people. Bundy proposed to her in the courtroom when Boone was being questioned on the stand. They had a daughter together. Oh, shit. Okay. But Boone got a divorce and changed her name and disappeared. Yeah, really? You did that? Yeah, after you married a guy who killed anywhere from 30 to 100 people? Yeah, you did that? Good choice. Smart move. Charles Manson and the Columbine high school shooters also have groupies. The Columbine high school shooters have groupies. I thought they were incels. Make it fucking make sense. Oh, boy. Scott Peterson murdered his pregnant wife. Within hours of being convicted for his crime, Peterson received his first marriage proposal. Wow. John Wayne Gacy, who killed an R-worded 33 young men, had women throw themselves at him. Okay, so here we go. He obviously shows a preference for young men, but here we have women throwing themselves at him. All right. Okay. All right. Book has been published of all the letters he received while in prison. He had an affair with a delusional woman in prison who did not believe he had committed his crimes. All right. I told you this was gonna be one of those ones where, yeah. Let's see what's going on. Let's see what's going on. Let's see. Oh, Mr. A, how you doing? We kill dragons. Let's see here. Let's use comments. Like those powers and murders, though depends on criteria. 70%. Yeah, see, that was the number I was thinking. I would say around 70%, or some form, either passive or aggressive hybristophiliac. Yep, that was my number, 70%. Art, what's going on, brother? Welcome. You say you want to be an orgasmic reconditioning therapist. Wow. Okay. Mostman, salute. What's going on? See, here's what always happens. It's like I ramble, and dude, I'm 30 minutes in, and then everybody starts showing up, and then my brain's like, right? Because we've been digging into this topic. Maybe what I'll do is I need a bowl after this one. I mean, dude, did you guys hear that shit? And that's the thing, man. It's like I've always when chicks just kind of gave me that inclination, I went into observation mode. I never took it personally. I always took it personally. And like I said, man, my vibe always tended to be like kind of, a chick who might have just been a little quirky or something, They were always attractive, but just kind of, like I said, little maybe brainy, quirky, or just unique, different, something along those lines like that. But that's your outlier chick, largely. They typically tend to be like your sapiosexual chicks, right? But when we look, again, passive and aggressive hybristophilia, that, by the descriptions, that's, I'm guessing 70% of women, man. Kind of, I don't know, man. Like, I was sitting here, I'm like literally flabbergasted reading the article, like, oh my god, man. I think there's something. There was a point in there though, in that article about, okay, the perception of masculinity, right? The perception of masculinity. There was a correlation that was made to like brutality or like brutalness, or and I'm like, in a highly evolved fourth industrial society where everything is all about digitization and automation, right? And, app-based smartphone, and this post-COVID fourth industrial environment. What good what good of a protector and a provider is a man going to be when he doesn't fundamentally understand digital currencies? How does a person who's not going to have a functioning fundamental understanding of this, the intelligence to acquire the data, right? How are they going to survive? Right? Where does brutality factor into smart contracts? The new modes and methods of wealth acquisition, resource acquisition, digital resource acquisition, right? What are you going out and conquering? What's with this mindset? Like, what? What are people still thinking like cave people, like low key, right? Neanderthal, club them over the head, drag them back into the cave. We still doing that? Is that what's going on? Really? Okay. In the age of self-driving cars, deep down, we need to feel the urge to club the other over the head and drag her back into the cave, and that's what she wants. Really? How is a woman thinking? What's going on in her head, given this fourth industrial paradigm we find ourselves rapidly evolving into? What's going on in her head that says, yeah, the guy who knows all about like what the future is going to behold? No, he's not the one. It's the cave guy. He's the one. The majority of women think this. And you wonder why I call myself a sapiosexual. I'm like, oh, I told you, man, look, all women ain't for me. I'll tell you that right now. And I think oftentimes men don't really objectively look at the behaviors of women to such an extent where they actually will place them in some level of or category of hybristophiliac. And once you put them in that box, that's a no-touch box for you, smart guy. You don't touch that. You stay away from that. That's gonna. You do realize how much trouble will be eliminated from your life if you do not deal with a hybristophiliac. Miss A, I think, yeah, you might have came in a little late. The article that I had read there, basically, it broke it down to a T why it is. And it's not, it's when you, there's two forms of hybristophilia. There's passive and aggressive. And when you look between both, that's going to be the majority of women. Yeah, like we killed dragons was saying about 70%. That was what I was estimating, about 70%. Yeah. Yeah. He said, "What's this song?" Oh, this is from Goldie. This is Goldie's album "Timeless." This was my senior year in high school, 1995, man. I told you, I listen to everything, man. And I'm glad. I noticed the view count is a little low. Maybe it probably has something to do with my music selection for tonight. So sorry. I'm trying to just do something here, man. Why, people just so close-minded. The song before it. No, this is. I'm just playing the album. I don't remember the name of the joint. I have to look it up. No copyright issues. This channel's not monetized, man. Yeah, I have to look up the name of that joint, mostly. But it's like the second or third track on the album. No, this channel's not monetized. The only thing they'll do is just put a claim in. But this channel's not monetized, so. All right. So, let me do this. I'm gonna step away here. Like I said, my head's ringing a little bit from all of that, man. This is a lot to unpack. I'm gonna drop the link. If you guys want to chop it up a little bit, to say I'd love for you to join us as well. Because I have an important question to ask. Can't wait for car talk. Manual or automatic? Dude, what kind of question is that? Manual. or paddle shift DSG like I have on my driving rig. Watch, you can hear it. I don't know if you hear that click. That's the steering wheel right there. That's the paddles on my steering wheel right there. I'll take paddle shift though. That's a happy medium between the two. But no strict automatic though. No, not where you just do the little gear lever thing and then you just push the gas. No, I need to have some form. I need to be like a Hybristophilia, but for a car. I need some form of control. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drop this leaky dude, and I'm gonna step away for about 3 minutes. Oh, my hair's a lot drier now. Oh shit! I just knocked that over. Okay, squeezing in and out of my driving rig can be a bit of a pain. And if I can motivate myself to do it, because I already went and bought it, be doing another Assetto Corsa review. We're going to do the Aston Martin Vantage, and also be reviewing the British GT, the DLC pack that has like Snetterton, Alton Park, Donington Park, and Snetterton. Yes. So all the great British tracks. Okay, I'm going to be right back. Let me post this.
What are you doing here? Washing away the tears. Wash away tears, 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 tears.
Hey, you guys there?
Dude, this music is awesome. It makes me think about the stream you were talking about with like Afrofuturism and just futurism in general. Like,
Yeah,
did like, oh man,
dude, Goldie is ahead of his time, bro. Goldie is ahead of his time, dude. Goldie's been making like futuristic music, dude. Like I said, I started listening. I got hip to Goldie. Well, he kind of hit the scene in like the mid '90s, '95.
That's when I was born, dude.
Oh shit, I was a senior in high school, man.
Nice. But this is the shit we need to listen to get our minds to be forward thinkers. Like I'm sitting here listening, like, yo, this shit is awesome.
Yeah, dude. That's why I was like, man, I was gonna have to, maybe. Yeah, I already tried to like test the boundaries with the music and stuff already, and then, I tried some jazz stuff, and the jazz stuff was cool, right? I was like, all right, that works. And then I've been really trying to like, I've been itching to go drum and bass with it, right? And then I figured for this one, I was like, all right, it'll work. This one will work, right? So I just dug up some Goldie tracks and just started, I want to do like some. I kind of want to do like some dope like alt psych rock type stuff. Like I know people would dig it, but I just think people would like just be hella closed minded.
Oh well, dude, fuck them.
But what you guys got on the topic, man?
What I got is hold on, let me turn this down. It sounds a little loud. You're talking about women. I forget how you worded it, but basically they're getting with criminals because of the aggression. And it sounded like something that I was reading this summer about female psychology. Mm-hmm. And they said part of human psychology, basically the theory, what they say is that a lot of women, they attach themselves to criminal men because, I mean, it's very logical. It makes perfect sense to me, is that women, because they're socialized to repress their own aggression, that they'll attach themselves to a man who can express that aggression sort of for them. So then they're able to perpetrate aggression by proxy. And it seemed like a pretty basic concept that would make perfect sense. And I mean, I've seen it. It's like I've seen it before. I've seen that before. I've seen women who come from good homes get with men that they had no business getting with, and I have to believe that plays into it.
Mm. Yeah, like I saw like when I was in middle school, man. That was when I kind of like really saw it up close, right? Because that was like around the time I was kind of starting like noticing girls and shit, like 7th to 8th grade and stuff, right? And like it'd be like some chicks, man, they like live in like the next block over or something, and I already know where I stay at, right? But then it's like you check out like the dudes they be running after at school, and it was like a head scratcher. Right. And I would literally just be sitting there like puzzled, like, help me out here. And as you get older, you just it's more of the same. You just see it expressed in a more sophisticated manner, because as people get older, they become more socially intelligent, right? More mature and all that, but it's the same behavioral patterns,
right?
And sometimes years back I would used to think, well, I guess they perhaps grow out of this, and I don't even think it's anything that they grow out of. What they do is they'll adapt out of necessity, right? Think about it. And this is kind of like fundamentally why when you kind of read sort of like the logic behind it, right? You have to intelligently like kind of analyze what you're hearing here, because if one is to say that is the driving force, right? Brutalness is equates to masculinity, right? Then why does the intelligent, resourceful dude then become the man of choice after said brute ultimately didn't cut the life longevity muster?
Because you don't want a Broly, you want an ultra instinct.
Wait, say that again.
I said because you do not want a Broly, you want an ultra instinct.
Wait, elaborate. Yeah, elaborate.
So, in Dragon Ball Z, our friend Broly is just a maniac who goes berserk and, for the most part, cannot control himself. Versus when you're in Ultra Instinct, you're basically just super calm. You're moving before something even happens to you. You're cool, calm, and collected. Because the women, they cannot control Broly. They would prefer to be with a man who has mastered Ultra Instinct, which would be the cool, calm, collected cat, who is also capable of aggression, but it is controlled versus, our friend Mr. Broly, who is not.
Right. And you're saying that, okay, but you then have to, so I guess what you're saying is there comes a time when, I guess, intelligence overrides.
Yes, because there's focus.
Okay. So that would imply that the ability to do that had been there all along.
Yes, I think it just has to do with awareness at that point. Like, are you aware that you are able to control this, as well as the fact that were you nurtured to be able to control it consistently over a period of time? Going back to the Broly situation, Paragus, for whatever reason and however he parented him, Broly's still like a fucking berserker, aggressive dude. For whatever reason.
I mean, we do have, our own individual natures and what have you, right? But I also think that, we as we grow and mature, we also kind of, the earlier you mature, the earlier you understand your nature, the earlier you understand your emotions, right? And if you understand them, then you don't act on them on impulse. You choose when to act on your emotions, when the situation calls for it. If it calls for you to be empathetic to someone because you just found out they lost a loved one, if it calls for you to be firm, when negotiating the sale price on a car, right? Then you throw the stoic face on. When it calls for you to be, pleasant, you know what I mean? You see an old lady struggling to get her shopping cart over to her car, right? Go over there and help her out, man, and you have a pleasant tone with her. Those things come with with maturity, being able to understand our emotions and apply them when situations call for it. But when you do shit like this right here, the Hybristophilia stuff, like, I'm just saying, like that scenario where they were discussing how, like, the whole reasoning or the logic behind why a woman would do that is because she feels as though she controls the situation. Meanwhile, the dude behind bars is like, this chick's an idiot. I've killed over 100 people. What is wrong with her? And I'm saying, like, from an outsider's viewpoint, I understand women who have those type of tendencies, either passive or aggressive, to be hybristophiliacs.
I would add to that complex is that these guys in prison, now they're going to say she's an idiot. I can't believe she, but he wouldn't say I can't believe she's doing that. What he would say is, of course she's doing that. I'm me. I'll go out and murder 12 people and think I can get away with it in court and then mock the judge and the news crew at the courthouse. Of course she's into me. I'm me. It's like this narcissism there. The same narcissism that would drive him to murder would be the same narcissism that she would actually be attracted to. And I would add to that too. I'm seeing a little bit of the Oedipus complex, or a lot of the Oedipus complex in that, because Now, there's different types of the Oedipus complex. It can get very weird. Now, of course, there's the play of the dude sleeping with his mother and killing his father, and it gets all weird. But the real Oedipus complex that you see in real life is the mother who tells her son, I don't care what you do in life. You could be a gang member. You could sell dope. You could commit crimes and even go to prison. But, once you get out of prison, if you never get caught, you can't leave the home. And you'll see these mothers. There'll be these mothers that, they got sons that live with them until they're into their 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe even 60s. And it's this slow death because they clip their child's wings. And so that's the Oedipus complex. So when a woman, she sees this man in prison, she feels, maybe she feels like I can control him in prison, very similar to how a mother would clip her own son's wings so he can't leave the nest.
Yeah, I think the only difference though is that in the scenario where the dude's in prison, the boy's not looking at his mother like she's an idiot, right? The dude behind bars is basic. He's running the show basically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's not like
like in her, but again, it's what was it? It was something fantasizing. It was a term. I forgot. I wanted to use it. It was a term, but essentially they're existing within a fantasy in their head. There's nothing actually real about that situation. You can't control a person in jail.
Right.
Okay, the state controls them. They're in jail. The state is telling him, guess what? You can't go anywhere. What is she controlling? Nothing. Okay, this is the problem. It's an illusion. This is a psychological mental condition. This is something that's all in the mind.
It's delusional.
Yes. That's why it's like, okay, well, what is driving this, dude? Because what happens is that it leads to real world decisions, right? That don't have like the best outcomes. But we've already determined here that probably roughly 70% of women are hybristophiliacs. So what to do?
You just deal with it. Because I
already told you, dude, I don't deal with it. They go into the hybristophiliac box.
Run.
I don't deal with it.
Yes,
I've had women in my family, I had one woman in my family tell me she doesn't care how a man makes his money as long as he makes it, which I took that as you date a criminal. That's what I said. You date a criminal, you're weird. I'm just going to keep my distance. I had a family friend, seemingly normal woman. She's in her 80s now, so she's an old lady, and she suffered a lot from racism being a black woman, and I understood where she was coming from. But I've heard several black women say this, and they go, "I like violence. I like." And they were talking about like retaliatory violence towards white people for racism and past injustices. I like racism. I like to see that violence back. And it's like, again, that bringing me back to that violence by proxy. And they were talking about men. They go, and you see that a lot. They'll say, "No, we need our men to protect us. We need to have our men on call. So if I got trouble in these Austin streets and I'm boxing in the streets with some bartender, I want a man to just drive up and take care of this for me."
Right. And see the issue with that is that so you're looking for the scenario to happen.
It's like they're in the Capcom game and they're trying to call their partner to come in and tag them in.
It's almost as if you're projecting the scenario out to have the encounter happen, to then have the endorphin release from the emotional rush of it all. It's purely induced. It's weird. Like this is the reason why I brought up like the fourth industrial aspect of things, right? And how modern society is shifting and changing. It's like, what place does that type of mentality or mindset have going into the future?
You can be food for the system.
That's what I mean. It sounds like you're about to become an obsolete human if you're still thinking that way.
Now, I've actually got an insight on this that a theory that I have about Black women, and I really didn't tie it to Hybristophilia until right now, but it's kind of got me thinking, where I've always noticed since I was a kid that even as kids, Black girls are evolved verbally. I mean, they can cut you down with their tongue at 7 years old better than I can at a grown man. I mean, with the neck rolls and all this, and it's all these verbal, very demonstrative, aggressive, very theatrical, animated mannerisms.
You know where that stuff comes from. I mean, it's
and that I take that as because when you're a Black woman and it's 1855 or even 1965, and you're walking down the street and you're unprotected in this white supremacist and very brutal and violent environment, that a woman, a lot of times, the only thing that a Black woman's going to have is her own mouth to be able to defend herself. So her tongue actually becomes a defense mechanism. And I think maybe out of that, with Hybristophilia, when, being a Black man myself, I've seen, just read the statistics of who the victims of violent crime are is Black men. Well, Black women get a piece of that too. And so part of that for them, Black women can't go out and be hyper aggressive physically. I mean, you're starting to see that more now, more than any other time I've seen in my life. But throughout history, women haven't been able to do that. And so maybe that got ingrained into Black culture, where Black women weren't able to physically assert violence on other groups. So that it transmuted into Hybristophilia.
No, it's not anything that's been ingrained. It's always been the case.
Right. Yes.
Okay. This has always been the case. All right. The question, and it's not really to negate. See, let's do this. We already know that pretty much anything like post-slavery, we know of everything that is transgressed post-slavery up until, let's say, the civil rights movement, right? And then we know about what took place right after that, right after MLK was assassinated. Then we saw what happened with that. Then we move into this new millennium, and we saw what's happened over the first 2 decades of the new millennium. And so we find ourselves here, right? And so it's kind of like, okay, there's pretty much nothing else that's going to be gleaned from the post-slavery experience. What other takeaways are Black people hoping to get from that? Or are Black people trying to reverse engineer all those years of the trauma, or do you actually in 2021 recognize all of it for what it has been this whole time and then decide to do something different?
No, we can't do that, because we got to repeat the cycle and always try to figure out why we aren't getting validation, which will prevent us from being future oriented thinkers.
Okay.
We're enslaved by culture. Culture does that to people. It enslaves the mind, because you think what you're doing is normal. It's in a matter of fact, if you don't do it, you ain't no hood, nigga. What you talking about, man? You're a lame.
Well,
right,
no. I mean, that's the problem. No, let's not do that, because these are tropes.
That's culture.
It's part of it. What I refuse to believe is that is my culture. No, that is not all my culture is.
No,
it's part of it.
But for some people, it's the lifeblood of their culture. For a lot of people, I mean, they live and die by that. For us, we're not like that.
You know what I'm saying? We are keenly aware of this. This is the reason why we're talking about hybristophiliacs, because you know why? Because most of those people that you're talking about don't know that they're hybristophiliacs.
Right.
This is what I mean. Dude, damn the slavery and whatever. Here's what you are. In 2021, you are a hybristophiliac.
But the complex, that's what I'm saying. That's how culture works. people don't it's like how they say, like, well, they used to say this about white people. White people don't have culture. What's their culture? Cottage cheese and peaches? I mean, they don't have culture. Well, nobody really knows that they have culture. You only really observe your own culture when you get out of your culture, or somebody observes it for you. Like, you wake up in the morning, you eat your ham and eggs, and you go, that's breakfast. That's not culture. But no, that is culture. And so when it's good, when the music is good and the dance is good and the clothes are good, you go, oh, this is our culture. We're proud. But the pathologies, people get trapped by that and they go, that's not our culture. We don't see that. I mean, this is just circumstance. It's happenstance. What do you mean? And so then you don't even, it's invisible to you and you get trapped by it.
Culture is intentional.
Not necessarily.
It's intentional. It doesn't just happen. Okay, people manifest culture. Okay, and
yes.
there's intent behind it. Now, whether that it's dysfunctional or functional, okay, well that's a whole another subject. Okay, but like when these trap rappers, skinny jean, Lil fill in the blank rappers, okay, they are intentionally making what they make, and they are intentionally saying the things that they say in it. Okay, and what we've determined here is even with hybristophiliacs, they intentionally go and do it. They know what they're doing. Okay, Black people who embody the more dysfunctional elements of Black culture know what the hell they're doing. That's why I'm like, okay, well, you can go down the slavery road if you want, but in 2021, everybody knows what the hell they're doing. I wasn't even there for slavery, so I mean, you could talk about it. I can't corroborate it personally. I can tell you about 2021 though. I can tell you about the future. I mean, the past is like, yeah, I've heard an awful lot. I've heard so much about it. What?
But
am I going to go back and
future.
fix any? Am I going to go back and fix anything about it though?
Isn't that interesting though? We always hear about the past, and of course we hear about innovation and technologies and new ideas and concepts. But how much do we really talk about the future in regards to building customs, systems, and processes for us to get to where we need to be, whatever that image is?
Well,
and serious dialogue.
Well, that's what this platform was predicated on. That's what this whole entire platform is predicated, like, to hit on all aspects of like what like a future Black technocratic culture looks like.
So there's with slavery, right? With hybristophilia. I mean, if we're going to say, it appears that maybe 70% of Black women, if that's at the max, or suffer from some forms of hybristophilia. I look at that, and if we can make a connection to slavery. So now out here in Portland, Oregon, they've had a lot of protests out here that you've heard about, and they actually took down a statue at Mount Tabor Park of a large newspaper's founder because he was against women's rights, I guess, back in the 50s or something. They tore that down, and what they did just like 2 days ago, they put up a giant statue, a bust on a big platform of a slave who was with Lewis and Clark. They came out here out west with Lewis and Clark, and they had a Black slave. So they got this giant Black head who was a slave, and they put it in this park. And it just shows how much slavery dominates the minds of a lot of Black people. It's like we're hyper focused on slavery, and these people don't know necessarily why they're doing that, or even especially they don't understand
because
the
everybody
deeper
keeps
implications. Telling
them that slavery is the problem.
Right.
It's okay. Can you name a group of people on the face of this planet that has not been subjected to slavery at one point in time in history or another?
Not at all.
I don't think I could name any. No.
Okay. Outside of the small hat people who will bring it, they don't bring that up. They bring the Holocaust thing up, right? But who So wait. First of all, somebody just hold on. Kaizo.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, okay. Welcome, man. I just wasn't sure if your camera was on or what. Okay. Welcome, man. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. What about you?
Oh man, not too bad at all. I was just and I wanted to just welcome you. I don't want to be rude, but I was just in the middle of saying that. I mean, look, man, it's kind of like humans are an interesting organism, and throughout the course of history, they've done a lot of heinous shit. Okay, they've done heinous shit to people, and then have had heinous shit done to them. Okay, and all throughout the course of history, you can't point to a time where this hasn't happened. So I'm saying that there was a point in the not too distant past where it kind of happened to us. Now, in 2021, though, what the hell are we doing? I'm just saying. I was born in 1977. Dude, I was not born here to get sucked into some past shit. That's not why I'm here.
That's a powerful quote right there. I was not born here to get sucked into some past shit. I like that.
It's the truth. None of us were.
That's right. And as Black people, we're the main ones that need to be forward thinking.
Well, that's why I'm like, I get sick and
history
tired of the slavery
terrible.
shit, dude. It's like, dude, I was not put here for this.
Right.
Sometimes I think my ancestors like would rip their angelic hair out if I spent all my time arguing and debating with people about slavery. They're gonna be like, what the fuck? We were the ones that were here. Your ass is there now. What are you doing? Can you go build something, please?
Please.
What you got on it, Kaizo?
Well, if people know me in the manosphere, generally is that I'm a more of a systems designer kind of guy. What I mean is that I acknowledge that there's truth at every level. So one of the acknowledgements is that the majority of our people, or any people at that, aren't going to be thinking the way that we are. So they're not going to be forward thinking. So the only way that we can uplift ourselves from this, circumlocution, going around in circles to the past, is some of us create a system that elevates the discussion automatically. For example, right? If you want people to commit less crime in general, what do? You create a police system. If you want that police system to be functional, what do? You fund it, you create rules and structures, etc. You empower them in a way that they will generally allow the crime rate in that place to go down. So I'm more of kind of operate at the large systems, create something that most of our people won't be pulled back to keep going back whenever they're thinking, and they're just gonna be forward.
Well, you have to
create
change
the vehicle.
thinking, though. What if you create? Because if you can create the system, but if they think the same way, they won't understand how to fundamentally utilize the system.
Exactly.
Right. So.
Like as much as I agree with you with about having different systems to get different outcomes, I would say law enforcement is probably a bad example, because the studies show that more prisons and jails and more cops doesn't really lead to less crime. But your point's still valid, though.
You're dealing with a nuance of crime. I'm talking about a system that has none of those things versus one that has those things. Yeah, you're right. America is a perfect example. The more they have it, it doesn't really improve the rate of crime. But if you compare like a good functional system like Japan or most of Europe, there's not much prisons over here, and yet they have a prison system that works well. You reach a point where if you keep making too much restrictions on people, you're actually going to circumvent what you set out to do, but you just need something there. And with the system that I was talking about, I was thinking of you create a system that within the system itself, the person has to be functional with the mindset so it's an exclusive system that basically, unless you're actually functional and you're contributing to that that community, you can't even join that system. So
Well,
then what that would do is it will force everyone else who they'll be like, well, I want to live like these people. Then they have to now understand how to be like those other people.
Yeah, that's why what we do is, this platform, it's technocratic, right? This is basically, essentially it's a think tank, man, and we're exploring technocratic thought, right, as a cultural precept. So that means that technocracy, right, as a communal or social construct, is what you're going to be basing your culture on. Okay, so you start there, and then we say, okay, well, what is that comprised of? Like, what are all the bits and parts that we would need to consider, right, to build something like this, right? So we're talking about the STEM fields. So any and all things, STEM related, because pretty much every sector, every industry, and every sub-industry is going to be driven by new tech, all fourth industrial based technologies. Okay. Even when it comes to becoming literate in all things economics, if you hadn't cut your teeth with stocks and all that kind of stuff, cryptocurrency is the perfect time. It's the perfect time to become financially literate. You can literally sit up here and make money with your phone. Okay. So we're in a time where we have all of these things afforded to us. Sapiosexualism is the dating and mating aspect. Well, what's the mechanism behind the people who get together to create the future generations, who are super intelligent, tech-based industrialists, thinkers, artisans? Okay, so there is something to that, and it's this right here. This is the reason why we even bother to break the intergender dynamics down to such an extent where we don't even approach it from a binary standpoint. It's unisex. We just talk about the mental aspects, the psychology of it, the sapio side of things, right? Because that's where you're going to get the greater understanding. It's not going to be in the finger pointing and the you. Like I said, as men, you could just kind of be perturbed at the fact that, women have a tendency to just go after like fucking dumbasses and thugs and criminals and shit, right? But then if you understand it from an intellectual standpoint, that they are on some scale or another a hybristophiliac, well, then you can contextualize it better. It gives you more. It gives you more information. Yeah, it gives you more information, and you can move easier in the world. And now you're not sitting up here consuming all this bullshit ass red pill content.
Well, I would okay, so you guys, now correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just trying to understand. Do you think that the hybristophilia is more prevalent in our people?
No, that's all women. It's all women.
Okay.
I mean, we're black, so but no, that's because like when I first started the live stream, like I mentioned, like an example, right, would be like a chick who's into MMA.
Yeah. Right.
I know a ton of Latina. I'm in California. I know a ton of Latina chicks out here that are into MMA. Right. So they get juiced up, man. They love it. They get turned on by two dudes beating the shit out of each other in an octagon. Right.
Right.
But that was an example that wasn't exclusive to black women. That was Latinas. Yeah.
I was thinking too on a maybe on an evolutionary type of level, like maybe a bioevolutionary level, where let's just say you come from one country, you invade another country, and then you murder their men, and then their women go, they're powerful. Like, of course you're going to be hurt and you're going to be sad, but then at the same time you have a great respect for those men because you recognize their power. And then those women they melt for those men, and they gravitate towards those men. And what's so interesting about that is, growing up in the Northwest, I saw that firsthand. I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound very odd, but it's a true story. Back in the 80s, you'd walk in on the streets of Portland, you could get called the N-word at any time, and you're going to have to fight on the streets. You have white boys coming up to you wanting to fight. You nigger, what's up? We're going to box. And they just look at you. You'd literally trigger their limbic system. You could see them start shaking and shit. It's like, just by you looking at me makes you angry and want to fight. And what would be so odd is these white boys were taking L's every single time. I've never seen a white dude get into a fight with a black dude and in a racist fight and win. They lost every single time.
Well, the reason why they get into it is to try to prove that they'll win, only to get their asses kicked, which it's like the Hybristophilia thing. Just it's for it's kind of like that.
I kind of have a different take. I mean, I agree with that, but I got some other stuff. I won't say it now, but then after these fights, what I found too is that a lot of white women, like, so you get in a street fight and you go out and you go hang out with some white girls afterward, a group of black dudes meeting with a group of white women. You tell them about what just happened, and the women would love it, and and it didn't seem odd. It seemed very normal. I mean, if they were black women, it would be very similar. But I think from their lens, they go, man, these dudes are out here in a foreign land with these racist dudes, and then they're having to fight on the streets, and they're winning, and we're hanging out with them, and it really turned them on. There was something there to that.
Yeah, it's the scary big black, Mandingo monster who I'm oddly attracted to, or some. It's the same shit.
I didn't get that sense though. It wasn't that?
It's the same trope.
It's
yeah. It's like I said. The race doesn't matter.
Right.
It's women. Women do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't. The race doesn't matter. It's women do it.
Right.
So
Like,
I
even in the
too.
article, they didn't break down like the women who it's not by race or anything.
No, but can I give a context?
Psychology.
Yeah.
Now I want to get a little weird too on this one too. And I was reading about just human psychology and so maybe this is a stretch, but let's stretch the boundaries on this a little bit. Let's just say,
well, where are we stretching those boundaries?
well, okay, well, I just have to tell you, I'll just have to lay it on you. Where let's just say if
is it in the context of things, or are we
it's
going
in the
left
context.
field?
We're going left, but we're in context, so we're still in the ballpark. Where we're saying that let's just say that if a parent gives up their child, that can be a form of violence. Let's just say that. So I got a kid. I can't take care of my kid. If I do take care of my kid, I'm probably going to destroy it. So I need to give it up for adoption. Maybe from the kid's aspect, we can say that's a form of violence. But to me, it reminds me of hybristophilia and the way you're making connections you're having attachments. It's like almost like an attachment disorder that's also like a sexual paraphilia.
Well, what you're talking about is what they call ACE, adverse childhood experience.
Right.
Yeah,
See,
that's what
okay. So let's just say this kid so what happens basically is what they found is that with a lot of parents, they give their kids up for adoption, and they don't see them for 15, 20 something years, and then their adult children comes back into their lives. There's this weird sexual attraction. They said it happens like at a really high percentage, like at 3 to 5%, which is pretty.
Okay, yeah,
pretty
that
high.
you did kind of go left, yeah.
But to me, that reminds me of. But it's still like this weird attachment with sex, and and so that's what I see with the hybristophilia. It's like this sexual thing that's going on that's connected to violence, and the logic shouldn't be there, but here we go with this psychology.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really kind of look at it like that. I was kind of just contextualizing it more on what it is that that men oftentimes seem to be confused about in terms of why women choose what they choose, right? In terms of like a more of a sapio context. Wait, okay, I think Kaiser, he dropped off. Okay, and if he needs the link, I'll post it again. But it like I said, if you can understand it from a psychological standpoint, then it gives you more intelligence on the matter, right? Because now you're understanding a human condition. Okay, you're not looking at it from a position or a stance of like, okay, am I high value enough? Am I tall enough? Am I this enough? Am I that enough? Blase, 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 blah. They may simply not be choosing you because they're a damn hybristophiliac. Try that one. Right? That's why I was telling Kaiser, I was like, if people kind of cut more to what the core of what it may really be, then they won't waste so much time listening to like all the quote unquote red pill shit.
Right. And for the women, say if that information was disseminated, if we dropped Hybristophilia pamphlets out of helicopters all through around Black America, and Black people started reading these pamphlets, and then they couldn't say, well, the reason the reason we don't like you lames is because you're not alpha enough. All the the alpha men are in the penitentiary. But no, that's what you think that's what it is. But now when you read this pamphlet, you figure out that no, you're just attracted to criminals. It's science.
Well, no, they know they are.
Yeah.
What it is, they don't understand why, or they don't even know that that's a condition. Actually, put it like that.
Well, that's the main problem right there. It's just how humans are. They're so pathetic these days. I mean, if you mention that to them, they can't even grasp it. I mean, they think they're so smart. It's just like the norm. I see it like every day outside of the internet and probably in these spaces that think like that. And then when you meet them in real life and like say, what are you doing? And I said, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I like this guy. I said, well, don't you think it's time to step away from it? And she'll probably say, no, I really love the guy, but that's how people are, you can't tell them to say no, but they'll do it anyway. It's just human nature.
Problem, what you're asking them to do is you're asking them to intellectualize something that they are unawares of.
Yeah.
Right. So if you call like that's why I was telling Kaiser, I was like, look, what you as a dude have to do is when you recognize that she's one of those, you just put her in the hybristophiliac box and leave her be.
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
You don't try to tell her that she's a hybristophiliac.
No, I ain't trying to. I'm just saying, like, a suggestion, like, if the guy's bad, like, if they ever ask, I tell them, why don't you step away? Then, the response is going to be, but what I've learned is I just learned to step away because they're not going to change. It's just like when you tell someone what to do, it's kind of hard, even if they ask you, I'm like, all right, I'm good. It's just like, we see these panels when they come on and I'm like, all right, I know where this is going.
It's hard to psychoanalyze yourself. I mean, pretty much nobody can do it. And so that can cause real problems for people. If you don't get a good therapist to help you, figure out what your triggers are and the pain points and part of your history that impacted you. Man,
I don't think that's true. When I went to a therapist, when I was depressed, now when I was a lot younger, when I was 15, when my grandmother died, that took me for like almost like 3 to 4 years to understand it until I turned 18, and I didn't realize I was sick.
Right.
And that took years. That took at least like 3 to 4 years to understand. Most people trying to say you don't understand. No, you have to understand the experience. You lose somebody tragic like that had this renal disease, and you was real close to her, growing up.
My condolences.
That effect, yeah, that was years ago. But that's what made me what I am now, because based off her death, I promised her years ago that I was going to get baptized. This is when I was Christian at the time. I'm not now, because I've learned a lot on the way and on other things. But, but things change, because people go through different changes. But mine takes slowly. I'm not one of those people that change a lot. My mindset is like, if I had to change something, I think this benefit will be good for me, at the end, but you got to make that decision. It's choices, at the end of the day. But yeah,
Well,
it depends on the individual. Everybody's different. You can't just expect them to change.
But we also determined that so a common trope that's always let me see what we're coming up on here. Give me just a second. 15 minutes. Okay, we got like 15 minutes left. All right. So like a common trope is like, okay, like when you like put it on like 7 granules, and then like chicks call in and then they'd be like, I'm looking for a high value man, and then he goes, he goes, how old are you? And then she's like, I'm 30. I'm 33, and then it goes danger zone, and then and then he goes, how many kids do you have? And then she'll be like, I have 2, right? And then he'll be like, where's their father? And then they'll be like, well, he wasn't on my level. Okay. now look. So that was hybristophilia in action right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Because now what's happened is, now I've made a rational decision to level up, as they say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I made this rational decision to to whatever term they're giving it. So once they've made that decision, now they contact 7 granules, and then they're just like, how do I get this high value man? Okay. So you mean to tell me the ability to make that rational decision, right? To determine that the brutish dude who really wasn't good for shit wasn't the dude all along. You mean to tell me you have the ability to make that determination all along. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah. But
Okay.
some people just don't never learn from their mistakes. That's just who they are. Like I said, it's human nature. Most people, it's hard to tell them that. It takes them years to understand, or at least a decade, and they'll realize, what the hell I've done? I said,
yeah,
well,
but you're playing Russian, well, not Russian roulette, but I mean, you're playing a game with life.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Bringing life into existence that you didn't quite intend. Why? Because his tattoos and just everything was just so, and then next thing you know, that oops baby happens, right?
Yeah It's
and then
normal
you have
every day.
nothing to teach the baby.
Exactly. It's normal every day. Like you see it in our community, like when we was growing up, and it was normal where I came from when I started in school, like in middle school. And I didn't realize then this is like the latter half, somewhere around 7th or 8th grade. But when I got to high school, they was just doing it like college, having babies left and right. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then I realized what it was about. I said, shit. We had all those teen classes all in middle school, right? And most of those people in my generation of that class back in, I think the latter half of 03, they didn't have kids, but somewhere around 03, 04, they just started exploding. I'm like, damn. And then a lot of those people destroy their lives after that when they really got older. They probably struggling with this COVID right now, but but that generation is gone, of us, of millennials at the time, if you want to per se. But I was back in 03 and 04. I was like almost like 15, 16 around that time. So that was a rough period, and people just kept on doing it, and just like they're doing now, despite COVID. But that's what people do.
Yeah, people don't know there's parts of all of us, there's parts in us all that we don't understand. And then if we don't intellectualize what we don't understand, that can have real world consequences. And an example of that is I knew a girl, beautiful woman. She was about an 8. Her sister was a model. She wasn't even as hot as her, but super stylish. And she actually tried to hook me up with her sister, but they were both crazy, right? And so they're two Jewish girls. And I go, I'm like, why aren't you married? I mean, you're beautiful. You got a great career. Like, why aren't you married? She goes, I don't know. I'm just crazy. I just like the wrong type of guys. I think she had Hybristophilia. So I go, well, talk to me. Tell me about yourself, and what's your relationship with your dad? That's the first thing I asked her. Oh, you don't want to know about him. I go, well, what is it? Well, my dad's crazy. He literally thinks he's a black man. He's a white Jewish dude, but he thinks he's black. He literally thinks he's a black man. I don't even talk to him anymore because he's so damn crazy. I was like, I'm thinking like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Okay. And then she goes, I want a guy like Riff Raff. I like a guy with, those stupid tattoos. And like, she goes, no, but not a guy like Riff Raff. I want Riff Raff. And I'm like, are you serious? She goes, yeah, I love him. Like, he's it. And, and I go, well, don't you see the connection? Riff Raff is an imitation black bedbug type, thug, wannabe thug. And your dad is a wannabe black dude. Like, you're externalizing that connection with your father on the Riff Raff. That's what it looks like to me. About 3 years later, she ended up getting married to a software engineer.
Yeah,
I'm going to take credit for curing.
Well, did the software engineer look like this Riff Raff guy?
No, he was a virgin nerd and about 5 years younger than her. I mean, this guy, no, not at all. Not cool. But a nice guy, a professional, good father. I actually saw her at a steak restaurant. I mean, they're both ballers. But he was nothing like that.
Well, I mean, they tend to make smarter decisions about marriage. And we're talking about like the Jewish community. My mentor's Jewish, and I know very close with his family. And just actually a bunch of Jewish people that I'm very acquainted with. And yeah, it's like, as much as that chick probably really wanted a Riff Raff dude, there's no way in hell that she would actually go and do it. But in black culture, not so much. They'll do it. They'll go and do it.
It's pretty much any culture, but she was smart enough to know, trying to say, well, damn, that's gonna fuck up my reputation. They're very tight knit, kind of like the Arabs. Where I went to school with both, and I think one was Sephardic and one was from Palestine. And they're very strict. They hide it very well when they try to blend in with the crowd. I said, really? I was like, damn. And then when I go outside and read about it, it's a tight knit coach. I think they mentioned it on Roger Report yesterday when I was watching it and talking about this and talking about marriage overseas and all that. And he said, nah, it's best to deal with them here. And fellas got mad and, trying to pick on SYSBM type, conversation. They was upset in the chat. They were like, what the fuck is he talking about? I said, Mr. Reset's going to act up and do his thing, man. Well, let him be. I try to tell him in the chat, let him be. I mean, this is what he believes. And, everybody's got different beliefs. Look, if I make this decision, that's on me, man. I
mean, it's really weird. I'm not even sure why there is a conversation about that. Like, whether it's better there or here or something. If you've never gone there to do it, you really can't say that. But I guess because it's a conversation, I don't know. The reality of it is that you can basically get what you want wherever the hell you are if you know what it is that jives with you. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I mean, whether I go overseas or I'm here, guess what I won't be dealing with? A hybristophiliac.
Exactly.
Regardless, wherever I'm at.
I agree with the brothers in the chat like that yesterday. Yeah. And then, but Roger's a little different, but I try to tell him in the chat, look, let him be. I told New, this is who he is, man. Like, everybody is different. If you're comfortable with hybristophilia, that's all you. I try to tell him, it's all you, bro.
Most of those dudes don't. Then, dude, most people have no clue about this shit.
Yeah.
They think that this is all some sort of normal functionality of black culture, right? The sister with the sass mouth and the and the thug love culture, right? Ride or die bit. Okay, all that mess, all of that is hybristophilia, all of it, right? And it is what is put forth as the preferred method on how it is that we go about procreating. And Only thing I
Exactly.
can observe from it is to drastic results.
Yeah. And
I
no,
don't, I
listen,
don't, I don't, I don't maybe I'm,
I, no, you're right. It's all hybristophilia, but
yeah.
to sum it up, they ain't gonna call it like this word they use. I'm just saying they'll probably have another name for it. I'm like, look, if you make silly decisions like that, I know the outcome is going to be, and then they keep talking about it in conversation. It's to me, it's entertaining. And every time I see new in the chat, like as moderator, I said, dude, they're not going to change. I'm like, it's like talking to thin air. It's like we can't get a voice in there.
Well, no, I already told you. It's sort of like if I already know that,
Yeah.
just see, knowledge is power, right? So
Right.
if I hear a woman say X, Y, and Z, guess what? She's a hybristophiliac. No point me and her having a conversation. Or if we are having a conversation, maybe she works the cash register at the grocery store and I'm buying something, and
Mhm.
and I'm saying, yes, I'll take a bag, please. That's pretty much where the
Yeah.
conversation starts
Yeah.
and stops right there, right? Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
you're
what
in
I
and
mean.
out.
I mean, like as
Right.
as men, I'm like, okay, if you can move more intelligently, you intrinsically understand these types of things, right? It saves you a lot of time and trouble.
Exactly. Yeah.
You'll just not deal with certain shit because you already know that's a hybristophiliac,
Yep.
and you don't want that.
Yeah, I actually had, I think there was I was at a party, and this girl I knew tried to hook me up with these two Mexican girls, like introduced me to them so I could, maybe hook up with one or something. And so they come up and they go, oh, this is me, this is my name, and just immediately they go from that to, oh, I like a guy like this. This is how my dad was. He was like a Mexican biker and street dude, and I like a big, macho man who's a gangster and talks tough. And almost like trying to get me to like monkey dance, like, are you gonna monkey dance for me and act like my dad so I can tear you out the frame later? I was like, man, you chicks are crazy. I ain't doing it. Neither of you already know what you're about. You're a hybristophiliac. You're gonna try to lure me in your web. You'll be nice and sweet at first, and then you're gonna expect me to, when you find out I'm not a criminal. And then, or even if you did, what you're going to do is it's just going to be downhill. I mean, who knows what you'll do? You're going to call the cops on me, stab me, whatever it is.
I would have ended I would end it in 2 seconds. I will never speak to her again. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, it was about a 20-second conversation.
Yeah, it'd be a 2 second for me.
It's almost well, to me, it's all of this is quite humorous because I view women as literal Looney Tunes characters because it's amazing what the things that they say and the things that they do, as well as just experiencing a gradual mental unraveling of their reality and their delusion, to where it to me it's sort of endearing to the sense that, oh man, like you guys are really just maniacs, and it's kind of like I spiritually pat them on the head, while also going back to what you were saying, Complex, about how, to me, it's really refreshing that they act like this because they really are deserving of being hit over the head with clubs and being dragged back to the cave.
No, dude, no, we're not doing that, man. Listen, I'm like this, dude. Like I'm a live and let live type of person, right? You like it, I love it. That's why I'm indifferent to it. Right, because I already know, dude. Like, okay, see, I don't have any type of feelings on a woman that leans towards, having some tendencies to be a hybristophiliac, because that doesn't jive with me. So, like, I let the dudes who either are unaware to that type of behavior or, who are into that, I let them have them. Because the thing is, man, there's too many. I'm gonna have to shut this down here in just a minute, man. It's like there's like 7 billion plus people on the planet, man. What are you gonna give a shit about every last one of them? And a lot of them are babies and stuff, kids. And so take all of them out of the equation. I'm just talking about think about all the people on the planet and shit. You really can't give a damn at the end of the day like that.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah, of course not.
I mean, I'm sorry. That's why I'm like, oh, I can just recognize when I'm dealing with a hybristophilia, I can leave it at that.
Yeah. It's that simple, really.
Yeah, it really is. That's why I was
Very
like, what do you need all this red pill shit for?
The red
You
pill,
really don't
that's just
need
like
all
a
this stuff.
well, red pill, that's just like a buffer they use to try to hide their inadequacies, and then they try to act like, oh, I need something to be cool. I'm like, dude, that's not really red
Yeah,
pill.
it's just
If you're going, it's
it's
just
an
funny
internet
though.
philosophy. That's all it is.
Yeah, they took it so far with that movie. I'm like, y'all dudes, it's crazy. It's just like what Zero said on his channel. Like I watched his movie, his video, The Pills, and he broke it down very simple. He said, look, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And then P. Dot was arguing about religion. I came in the middle of that his second video. It's like 11-hour one. And I was like, he was right. And then I started laughing. I was like, but Dot, come on, man. Why you conflating arguments? And I think him and Aegon was laughing at him or whatever. I'm like, dude, that's not what I'm on. Yeah,
Well,
it's sad.
got any last comments on it? We shut it down.
I got a comment. I was in college, I was taking a psychology class, and the professor, it was about sex, and she was talking about, it was like sex and trauma or something, some class. And I remember asking the professor, and I made a connection between sex and violence. And she goes, what? Sex and violence? I've never thought those two would be intertwined before. I don't get that at all. I've just never even thought of that. And I'm thinking, like, you're a psychology professor and you never even entertained the idea of sex and violence, there being something to that. I mean, basically with sex being the precursor to, babies coming out of the womb, and then with violence, and in violence it could be have a connotative definition that could be very loose, and cancer could be considered death, or being struck by lightning, or a slow death, or however that could be maybe a form of violence, which is a precursor to death, and you don't see the connections there. And and she goes, no, I don't see it at all. I still don't see it. And I actually offended her. I think she was a feminist. I think by me bringing that up, I think I offended her. And so to me, what I get out of that is that people are so far in the dark about the way the mind works, is that, of course people aren't going to recognize hybristophilia, because a lot of people aren't going to critically think about their own thinking.
All right. Bozeman?
Gents, and including the gents who, who are listening in the chat or on playback, don't take a lot of what these women do and say seriously if they don't check the box that you require that they check to be in your life. As soon as you look at them like a combination of the Tasmanian devil and the Roadrunner, life will become a lot more humorous, and that way you don't have to take these things seriously. And just take care of yourself and your health and your families, and just let it roll. Be futuristic, and that'll be all.
Yo, sir, what you got? Any last words, bro?
Yeah, just recognize your surroundings. I mean, you may not know she has a hybristophilia, but my thing is very simple. Just avoid them at all costs. If they're really like the hyper or extreme, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna walk away. But the message is very clear. What I'm seeing on this panel and chat. I mean, these brothers is telling you the truth, man. It's really that simple. You just should not be dealing with individuals that don't have your interests and your or your love or whatever. But but stay focused, keep on your task, and know where the goal is. So that's all I got to say about it.
Okay. Yeah, and we were talking. I just thought to my DJ mind. There's Boogie Down Productions.
Yeah,
I remember.
This Creole. Good evening. And Blaze, what's going on, man? Oh, I saw this shit. This Devin Xanatos. I wasn't even paying attention to the damn chat. Welcome, all you guys. I this conversation had me think at the last minute of an album by Boogie Down Productions called Sex and Violence. I think it's very pertinent.
Yeah.
Now that I really
Yeah.
think about it. Yeah, it was BDP album from 1992. 92.
I might have to
I
check
was-
that out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was either 90. Yeah, it was 92. I want to say it was Sex and
Ooh,
Violence.
I was 4 at that time. Yeah, I'm 32 right now.
Yeah, that was
Oh, young.
yeah, Sex and Violence. So that right there, man, that's probably when I really think about that album. That probably is, I would say, one of the best sort of takes or critiques, cultural critiques on the impact of sex and violence in Black culture.
Mhm.
Like I'm trying to, like, there's a joint 13 and Good, right? So it's basically a song about like a dude who's like a sexual predator, basically. Right. So she's 13 and she's 13 and good, right? Body's she's 13, but hey, right? So he did a song about like that. This album kind of pushed some boundaries, dude. Like that's why I was like, I'm glad I thought about it like last night. I was like, oh, you know what? Sex and violence, dude. So
Yeah, I remember that being a song.
Great,
too.
great,
yeah,
great,
13
topic,
and Good
though.
was one of the singles off the album. There's a joint called Drug Dealer. I'm
You
trying
got
to
a good
remember.
memory, man. Good memory.
Well, DJ, man, like this shit's like photographic, bro. Like all I gotta do is
music's
just like
just
think about the
background.
album cover, and then I know like the sequence of the songs, like on the front and back. I can just remember all the shit, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, jailbait type shit, right? Nah, but no, it was like, but that was the whole thing. It was Chris was like, he was rapping from the perspective of a predator, right? Somebody preying on a young girl, but he's telling a story, and I forgot, like on the last verse, something happens. He's telling the story from the perspective of a dude who's like a predator, but then something happens to him at the end of the song. Just check it out. It's a song called
I remember
13.
that. Now that you mentioned it, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a song called 13 and Good. Drug Dealer. Oh man, there's one other joint that is just dope. The album's dope. The whole album's dope. But yeah, Sex and Violence.
That's one hell of an album cover.
Yeah, the album covers a trip, dude. Like I said, man, BDP was on. That was when, like, you know, hip hop was really speaking to some shit. But
Yeah.
you know,
It was normal back then. Yeah. That type of music. Yeah.
but
Instead of all this drill music.
Yeah, man, I appreciate everybody for rolling through. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I had to drop in though. See what
Yeah,
y'all
no,
was
that's what's up,
talking
man. I
about.
appreciate you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me
Ginger
on.
tea has got me ready to knock out. I was kind of like sleepy now. No, I appreciate you, Troop. Mosman, Sarab Dayu. Kaiser was here earlier too. Appreciate him for rolling through. Yeah. What Miss Krill said, hip hop used to be our way of telling our stories. It still is, depending on who you're listening to.
Agreed.
Right, because some people are telling stories and most people ain't saying shit. So
most of them really.
Yeah, most of them ain't saying shit. It's only a few people telling stories nowadays.
Yeah,
it
gets less and less. Yeah, it is. It is.
You know, but yeah, today's hip hop tells these kids stories also. I mean, that's gonna lead me down a whole other. That's gonna lead me down a whole other slippery slope, man. Where you start talking, if you start give me on hip hop and shit. But now just Miss Krill, take a listen to that BDP album, Sex and Violence. I think it will speak a lot to this conversation we just had here tonight about Hybristophilia and how you know there's men that are Hybristophiliacs, but it largely affects women.
Zero.
What's going on, man?
Zero in the house.
Zero.
Yeah.
That dude's something else, man.
Yeah. Zero.
HMV.
Damn, see, people just be showing up, dude. Right as I'm about to like shake out. All right, but no, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna hit the sack, man.
Okay, I'm out of here, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Brother. Yeah, man, absolutely. Hey, y'all have a good one, man.
Yes,
All right,
sir.
peace.
Hit
Peace,
the like
gents.
button if you didn't. Share it with you know, your any hybristophiliacs out there. I don't know.
Guys.
All
Ladies for that.
right. Peace.
Peace.